YUNKJunk!
Where's your filthy bitch of a brother?
I don't know.
Probably being filthy.
Filthy whore. Ooh,
Whoa! That's what they called him.
Big thick beanie Terry.
Yeah. The bean machine.
That's a thick one, bro. That's a real girthy beanie.
Girthy beans.
Girthy beans.
I'm all about girthy beans, bro. I don't know what
Yeah,
you've been up to, but this
fat
podcast
nuts.
is now exclusively about beans.
Yeah. Big fat nuts.
Big fat nuts. That's our fucking brand.
I watched this movie the other day. It's called Dreamin' Wild
Uh-huh.
with Casey Affleck. It's a true story. So good about these brothers who made an album in the late 70s when they were teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing happens. And then like in 2010, the album blows up and like goes viral and they're on Jimmy Fallon and all this shit.
Really?
And the music is incredible. Like the songs that these kids made as teenagers will blow your mind.
What's it called?
But
Who is it?
it's called Dreamin' Wild is the name of the movie and the album. The actual artists are Donnie and Joe Emerson, the
Are
Emerson
these
brothers.
like two kids that are like wonderkins? Like they're like the future of music and they're just like two little baby boys?
Well, I wouldn't call them little baby boys.
No, not little baby boy.
They're like 15 and 17, and the main one who Casey Affleck plays is like a savant. And then nothing happens his whole life, and then he gets these opportunities, 30 years later when he's like 45, and it starts stirring up the past, and it becomes a movie.
Yeah.
It was really, really good. And if you asked me what my favorite ingredients were for a film and to put them in a bowl, this movie checked all of them. Adolescence, music, and Casey Affleck. No titties. I think maybe if there were some titties in there, it could have been a perfect film.
Yeah, I mean that's really what makes or breaks a good film these days is the sheer volume of breast meat that is shown on the screen.
Yeah.
I mean it's everything. It's everything.
Well, that's why it's called Rotten Tomatoes. Think about it.
Hold on. I'll get there. What?
It's the quality of the tomatoes.
Let's see, the quality of tomato. Well, Rotten Tomatoes, used to be thrown at bad comedians. Right? There's a history.
Okay, yeah. If you want the real, reason they call it Rotten Tomatoes.
Well,
yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's what it is. Have you guys noticed that the background is Caroline Street?
Really?
Yep.
That's cool. Nice choice. I like that.
Yeah. You can see Cole's apartment window right next to me. Right there. Horrible things happened.
Oh, there it is.
Right
A lot
there.
of cocaine.
We were never the same after the things in that there room. There. Do you remember that Boy Meets World episode where the Amish guy is like riding home and Corey gets in with him and he's like, it's the guy that's been in all of like the Mel Brooks movies. Like he was the king of Druidia in Spaceballs. I can't remember the name of the actor, but he keeps saying, Corey's like, well, I got to go home. And he's like, well, I can take you as far as that lighthouse there. And Corey's like, yeah, but I got to go further than that. And he's like, but I'm going to that lighthouse there. He just says it like 16 times. I'm not doing it justice, but hey, this is a segment. We're going to talk about a little bit of Boy Meets World every episode because it mattered to me so much. And I know it mattered to you guys too.
That should be your
I
pitch.
don't know much Boy Meets World.
That should be your pitch.
Okay, my pitch is we watch an episode before. This just becomes a Boy Meets World appreciation podcast. And like we have 10 minutes dedicated to episodes or segments, and we'll make sure that Cole watches them in advance.
I watched the episode last because Cash, my nephew, is watching Boy Meets World with my sister right now, and
Aw.
we watched a very pivotal episode, the one where Sean blows up the mailbox with a cherry bomb and runs away from home.
Yep, he shouldn't have done it because now he's forever labeled as a bad kid. Once you're a bad kid, it's over, man. I mean, were you guys bad kids? I was not. I was definitely a good kid.
You were not, but we corrupted you at times.
Yeah, that's true. You were definitely the corruption.
Police, Terry. Are you sure you were that good of a kid?
I ran from the police. I escaped from the police. Except that one time. That one time, Zach and Terry take snow days. Snow days, Zach and Terry were not good kids.
Real rebels, man.
And here's the thing.
You had Christmas decor. We were coming to unplug it.
Yeah. Oh, you're talking about that. The most dangerous game. The most dangerous game ever. Approach someone's home, take out a single Christmas light so that it goes out, hide somewhere you can be
in their
seen.
front yard.
You got to hide in the front yard. You can't leave and wait for them to come out and be like, what's going on, man? And then I think we would plug it back in and then escape. I'm almost positive.
I don't recall ever plugging any back in.
Well, because we didn't leave them permanently broken. That would have been too much for me. So I'm almost positive.
Traditionally break them. We would just unplug them.
Oh, yeah, you're right. We didn't pull out like a bulb. We pulled the plug.
We pulled the plug.
Yep.
Knock on the ding-dong ditch. They'd come out. They'd plug it back in. We'd unplug it. Ding-dong ditch them again.
But the scariest way... I mean, the scariest way we did that, though, is like they'd come out and you'd get ballsy and just like be on your back underneath their bushes on their side. So they open the door. If they look down, they would see you. But nobody ever does. And the idea was like, who can hide the closest without getting caught?
What a rush.
We got caught.
A true thrill, man. I got addicted to that high. I think
that was a thrill. You know what? And that was a much more innocent thrill than like drugs or alcohol and things like that.
Yeah.
Where's Cole? Nope. Where's Luke?
We told him not to shower, but I guess he was a real dirty. What is he?
I saw a text come through, but I haven't seen a.
He said almost ready. That was 4 minutes ago.
He has a job fracking. What does he do?
Fracking? You guys can't see back there, can you?
No.
I'm just gonna turn it off. Yeah, I tried to airplay my background, my messy background.
Why is your set different?
Because I set up
everyone's is.
My microphone, my Scarlett Solo, my laptop out on my desk in my living room, hoping that the microphone's not even fucking working. I mean, when I tested
Did you check your Zoom settings?
Yeah, it all says it's good to go, and then it just doesn't work when I join the meeting.
No, like in Zoom?
Yeah.
Like if you go to your audio settings in Zoom, it shows your peripheral?
Yep.
Okay, are you on a Mac?
Yeah.
If you go down to the system preferences and pull up the sound in there, make sure the sound in there is also showing your interface.
It's all Scarlett. Yep.
Scarlet letter.
Scarlet Pimpernel.
It's showing up. I'm getting input. I'm getting feedback.
I mean,
teabagged?
Well, wait a minute.
Feedback.
Yeah, I mean, I could tell that the Zoom mic is definitely like in Zoom itself. You sure?
Yeah. So
if you click on that little.
So the thing is, I'm on the Zoom app though. I'm not on the browser. I wonder if I try it on the browser.
What's a Zoom app? The app on your computer?
Yeah.
Barry, an app is just short for an application.
That's right.
Apps.
Yeah. No, well, actually, it can also be short for appetizers. You know, he might have been trying to run his peripheral into some mozzarella sticks, and then that would have been the problem, wouldn't it?
That would cause a problem.
That wouldn't work.
Dylan had one of the best lines ever about mozzarella sticks, and he was like, you know ska music?
Sure.
Yeah.
He was like, ska music is the same thing as giving a kid mozzarella sticks. And nothing's ever been truer to me in my life.
I don't get that at all.
Because it's a joy that makes no sense. You got to listen to Real Big Fish to really understand.
All right, can you hear me? Can you hear me in this microphone now?
Yep. What'd you
can?
do?
Does that sound better?
Not that close to your mouth, just because it's like blowing out. But yeah, it does sound better.
Okay, you hear it now?
Yeah, move it a little closer.
You hear me now?
Closer still. Maybe you just lowered the volume.
Hey.
That sounds awesome.
All right. I'll just leave it like that.
You did it, Mr. Audio Man. Zach?
We did it. Yeah.
Actually, Zach, your angle looks fine. Is this a new computer? It looks better than usual.
Same computer, maybe better lighting. I'm at my sister's house.
Yep, that's what it is. Better lighting in the house.
And she has 3 Latina women cleaning her house currently. And it really took me back. Remember 8th Street Latinas?
No. What is 8th Street Latina? Is it a porn?
I feel like Cole remembers 8th Street Latinas.
I don't know that one.
8th
It's
Street.
very
What were they doing on
prominent
8th Street?
During, like, the Bang Bus days, the MILF Hunter days, 8th Street Latinas.
Well, those were two different things. Was
Two
it under
different
the
things. I'm just saying in that time period.
Oh, was it under the Bang Bus umbrella? They had a bunch of content.
I don't know, but it was just prominent at that time. 8th Street Latinas.
8th Street Latinas. Well, kids, look it up. 8th Street Latinas,
I feel like 3 of them are currently in this house.
What? Is Luke trying to get in?
Which is cool because I got to leave in like 10 minutes.
Yeah,
Where you at, Luke?
It's wild that we
think
all
he's trying
got
to get
sick at the same time.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah, I'm just finally coming out of my sickness today.
Yeah, me too. But you know how, like, when women live together, they sync up their menstrual cycles?
Yeah,
Luke's saying, let me in.
I did.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, Zach.
Do you think, like, we synced up our immune systems?
I don't know. I just know that everyone's been sick
In the
around
world.
here lately,
Just
too.
in the world.
Yeah.
I lost like 8 pounds over the course of like the last 10 days, just from not eating.
Did you have COVID?
I don't think so. I don't get COVID. I have
I took the test. I didn't have COVID, but I had something. I had the flu or something like that.
I didn't even go to the doctor. I get sick like once a year and I go down real hard for like a week and then I'm fine.
Me too.
My immune system's pretty resilient and I like to imagine that like
Mine is as well.
I just shot up so much terrible things in my arm for years that like it gave me like superhero level immune system.
I take a shit ton of vitamins. And then, yeah, this sickness, I had to take the day off. I was in that Thursday when I texted you guys, I was in bed all day. I slept for like 20 hours. It was pretty nice, but it's still fucking hitting me. Dude, I've never felt like indigestion in my chest the way that I've been feeling it like this past week.
Indigestion in your chest? I mean congestion?
Well, I don't even know what it is. My wife was like, I feel it in my chest, but it's
like burning.
Yeah.
Yeah, my
guess.
chest was on fire 3 days ago.
Or acid reflux, maybe?
It could be. Dude, to the point I was sleeping and it freaked me out. This has never happened to me. And I burped while I was sleeping. Up a little bit. Like in my sleep. I was on my side and a little bit came out and I woke up immediately. I was like, what the fuck was that? And that freaked me out. But then I took a bunch of antacids the next few days and that worked. But normally I don't have to worry about that type of stuff.
I like to think we all got sick at the same time out of just to be simpatico, Just have a
Solidarity.
Solidarity, brother.
Yeah.
I wasn't sick. I mean, I was carrying sickness for sure, but I was still working through everything. But I have been so busy that the second I know I'm gonna be sick as a dog as soon as it's like Thanksgiving break. Like I guarantee my body will be like, "Gotcha, bitch," and then we'll all go down. Have you guys ever heard
again a year?
You talking about you and your crew, Terry?
how?
You said like when you said we're all gonna go down, like you and your crew.
Yeah. Yeah, I might have
Yeah,
also
yeah.
just been talking about multiple me's.
Like
All
Loki.
right, my cat he's like obsessed with me right now. Get rid of him.
Are you guys doing Loki? I can't understand what your guys' attitude is towards that show.
Nobody laughed at my Loki jokes the other day in the text thread, and why?
What? It was a joke? There was a joke?
I mean,
I thought you were just like trying to be like, snobby Hollywood guy.
that's
not like I just did like I need to make it clear. Like I'm not the biggest Loki fan, right?
That's exactly how I wanted you to hear it.
Okay, that's how I took it.
Good. Yeah, it's a persona.
The guy who likes Loki is a persona.
Guy who doesn't want people to know like he likes Loki, he watches Loki.
God damn it.
The Loki fan.
So, let's all do an impression of since I have Mario stuff behind me. Let's everybody do Super Mario Bros. One of them with indigestion.
Indigestion.
It's me.
You gotta fart or something. You gotta throw up or.
I genuinely just am congested still, so I didn't want to push it.
Mamma mia!
Here we
Mamma mia. Here we Mamma mia, I just threw up in my sleep.
It's fucking me. It's fucking.
Just
guys,
shut the fuck up, Luigi. My head's killing me, you dumb
It's
bastard.
fucking me. I'm fucking Mario.
Webba mia.
Yeah, it's me, Mario. Fuck off. I'm sick as shit.
Whatever's the yes. Whatever's the yes. Whatever's the fastest. It's me. It's me.
Give me too many mushrooms, man.
It's like there's a fire flower in my belly. Oh no!
Oh no, the fire went straight to my chest.
Oh no! Mamma mia!
Did you guys see the movie?
Oh yeah, it's one of my favorite movies of all time.
I took my nephew.
I still haven't seen it.
Oh, you are missing out on a cinematic masterpiece. It is
I know. I
a
want to
beautiful film. It's about brothers. You should watch it with your brother.
Yeah, we should.
Watch it together. Report back.
Luke and I went and saw The Flash in IMAX. Did we talk about that already?
It came up.
Finally.
We had fun.
I'm going to see Flower Moon tonight.
Oh, I'm looking forward to
sick.
Flyman. Yeah, what do you guys think? Does Martin Scorsese still got it?
Probably.
I think he does. I love The Irishman, so I'm still a big fan.
I hated The Irishman.
It's because you're Italian.
That... Yeah, it was a movie made by Italians, starring Italians.
Nope. We want Italians making Irish films. And the Japanese
Irish
can make
making
anything.
Italian.
They always do great.
Yeah. It's just like if my first thing I say about a film is like it was long, I think that's something that says a lot. You know what I mean?
But do you like long movies?
I don't
They're
care.
good.
Good if I'm captivated the whole time. You know what I mean? But if I'm like, yeah, kind of fucking long.
Okay. Even if it's like an hour and 25 minutes, you're like,
No,
a little long.
like Flower Moon's over 3 hours. Like Oppenheimer, I never felt like it was long. I was never bored or looking towards the end or being like, all right, wrap it up.
You never said like Stoppenheimer.
Stoppenheimer. Yeah, I was more worried about just like having to drop a bomb while I was in the theater. I'm really concerned about having to take a piss because I that jeopardizes the whole film. I rather just leave and start over another day than take a piss in the middle of a movie theater.
I'm
ran
too
into
old.
that
I cannot
problem?
make it through. I can't make it through a movie without peeing anymore. You
man.
gotta choose your battles, and then you gotta be like, I'll catch that when it comes out on fucking iTunes.
I'll sit through the whole fucking movie and hold it in and just be in the worst pain.
Yeah, just hurt myself.
But we went to the Flash, and I got up 3 times. I drink a lot of water, so like when that you'll see, I get up and pee during the podcast a lot.
Oh,
'Cause
didn't we-
it finally
we-
hits me.
Yeah,
Didn't
you
we
do.
have we had a few
you always leave
cocktails
your
before
fucking
that
mic
too.
on when you go to the bathroom.
What'd you say?
You leave your microphone on when you go piss every time.
No, I mute it every time. And I don't talk to myself at all. I don't know what you're talking about.
I didn't say anything about talking to yourself.
No. Yeah,
If
no.
I went to the movies with you and you went piss 3 times, I would be very angry. It would be a very quiet ride home.
No, I remember we went to the Flash. I peed twice.
Terry's just
Because I
right now.
I had to, but I was so shocked. Not one person went to the bathroom, and I felt so guilty. I was shocked. Do people not pee during movies, or do I pee way more than people?
Well, we had a couple cocktails before the movie too, so
we did.
Yeah,
We did.
I think I peed like right before.
I need mine.
Yeah, I did. I went to the bathroom before we left that restaurant, before we walked over to the movie. So I cleared it out. You you went in fully loaded.
Yeah. And then we went straight to the bathroom after the movie. I peed again.
Yep.
That's when we talked about. We were like, "This guy."
What happened?
Yeah, Zach, what was that?
Got too aggressive with the water drinking challenge.
We went down the wrong tube.
You know what we should do? We should always start these with a water drinking challenge just to see who can get all the way through without peeing.
It'll really add to Luke's pissing bit.
Yeah. I pee enough. I swear, I drink like 7 bottles of water a day, and then I drink some on my way home. I drink a lot of water.
Cole told me that he's writing a short film for all of us.
What?
Cole told me he's writing a short film for all of us.
Who's shooting it?
I don't know.
Probably you, dick face.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're all gonna turn to you, man. It's always
I
I'll direct.
figured.
Terry.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, it's
Actually,
funny. We are so slammed right now, and I would still say yes.
Yeah, you have to. I actually wrote a short film last night.
Really? How long does it take for you to write a short film?
Is it a traditional short, like a 3 to 5?
It's 10.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like.
But I'm sure I'll cut that down as the first draft.
Well, I mean, it doesn't matter anymore. But typically it is 10 if it's a YouTube film, and then if it's a traditional short for like festivals, those are 3 to 5 minutes. But nobody really does those anymore.
No,
I mean, the reason you do one is if you do
festivals-
one good enough, you can submit it to the Academy Awards. Like
Of
that's
course,
how that
I've done
one
all
kid, like that kid who was like 23, made one and won, and that's how he got to direct features. So that's like a way in, but that's like the 3 to
So I
5
think that's
minute
all fucking
festival's kind of over.
bullshit. It's all bullshit. I think because what they say is if you keep it under 15 minutes, right? Because they want to put as many shorts in their contest as they can. So they'd rather have like 2 5 minutes than 1 15 minute.
Yeah.
And our short film was 18 minutes.
Yeah, see, that's not.
think at the end
You
of
got to
the day,
get that
it's
either
like
down
art.
to, but you got to get that either down to 10 or up to 30.
No, it doesn't matter. You just make your best version of your film. But this one, I'm trying to do under 10.
I'd suggest
And
it.
Scorsese will see yours and be like, "It's a bit long."
No, actually,
I don't
no. I
care.
had a conversation with a producer about it, and he was like, I can't sell anything unless it's these 3 things. That's the reason that those times are there is. Now, it used to be everybody should make a short because everything was so expensive, and that's your only way to get someone to see that you're capable of helming a long one. But now it's more like just make the whole thing.
Rules
Just
to
make
it?
the 2 hour. Make the 90-minute.
Yeah.
But there's
This
nothing
one's
they can
real
do with
simple format. It's the only reason I wrote it is because it's 2 settings, 2 actors.
Yeah, I mean the YouTube's great because now YouTube wants 10 minutes of content. So anything 10 minutes now works as its regular film that you can put ad breaks in the middle of.
All right. Unfortunately, fellas, I have to go, and I'm pissed about it because we're just getting lubed
Oh, I
up.
forgot.
Yeah.
Forgot.
I apologize.
Well, don't let it
All right,
happen
so-
again.
And I'll see you guys next week.
Okay. Have
All right,
fun.
man.
Hasta
Yeah.
mañana. Tell Paul I
Can
said
you-
hi.
Can you
Oh,
text a movie for me to watch? Because I like to watch movies on Sundays or Monday. I have the day off, so text a movie and I will watch it and I want to talk about it.
All right. Watch Dreamin' Wild.
Also, watch the
Okay.
newest episode of South Park. It's awesome.
All right. Later,
Uh,
fellas.
All right,
All right,
see you,
later.
Zach.
See ya.
right.
Here, let me see if I
So
can
now
change
we
that
leave.
real quick.
We all leave.
Yep, that's
I
it.
spilled my wine.
You drinking wine? I want wine. I'd love wine. I'm
spilling my wine.
So I'm behind on stuff, and it's killing me. Don't you
What
hate
do
that
you mean?
when you're just a little
Commercials and
behind on
stuff?
some things?
You wanna work on it now? Let's edit your.
Hey, did you see that? How seamless was that? Yeah, now
Oh,
we're in a
sick.
Very
3
nice.
up. Damn. Now, well, it is editing. See, I learned this a long time ago that if I'm editing, it's a problem because I'm not running the business if I'm doing that. So, what are the things that you guys get distracted by that takes up too much space in your life? And when you're doing it, you're like, I know I shouldn't be doing this, but I have to do it, and I'm overwhelmed.
I don't know if I have anything like that. I mean,
No?
we have a nanny and she doesn't really pick up after the entire day that she spends with my daughter in our house. I mean, that's the only thing that I can think of when I get home and I have to clean up.
What? You hire
yeah.
someone to clean and they don't clean?
Well, she watches my daughter, and then she like just she weirdly she's really good with her, and there's a lot of good things that she brings to the table, but she like leaves dishes in the sink. It's really strange. It's a strange thing.
What is she
and then,
hired
like-
to do? Is she hired for childcare?
Yeah, she
Yeah.
just watches Adrian, and she's cool because she's an artist, so and I like that. So she'll paint with Adrian or play music and they'll sing and a lot of artsy stuff, which I want to promote creativity in my daughter's mind at a young age. And we watch enough Sesame Street she's smart, man, for her to understand letters and numbers. She's way too young for that, but she understands when it's the number of the day or the letter of the day. When they and the letter of the day is, and she'll be like, G, but that's just like every
What?
letter together.
She can
She'll
say it?
let out. She just says G, and it's like not any letter, but she understands that there's a letter that is presented.
Yeah.
She understands animals and stuff. So when she sees an animal on the television, they'll talk about an elephant for the longest time. Later on, when I'm reading her book and we see an elephant, she'll make an elephant sound. So I can tell that it's just crazy. It's crazy that I had a cat for so many years and he reached a level where I was like, oh, he's so smart. Smart. My daughter surpassed that so fucking quickly.
Yeah, well, I hope so.
And it was just
Surpassed the
weird to
cat.
be like, oh yeah, this isn't a pet. This is a human being. So maybe I should watch out. I shouldn't watch Megan Thee Stallion and twerking on my phone while I'm holding Adrian because she's observing what's going on.
Yeah.
She's watching twerks.
But I'll watch your twerk, man. If there's a twerk that's next on the feed and it's
Twerks are.
fucking Megan Thee Stallion.
See, I don't have
I'll fuck
twerks on my feed. I gotta get twerks on the feed. Hey Siri, twerks on the feed.
Twerks on the feed. Please.
Can we get twerks on the feed?
I watched the Pete Holmes.
She turned flashlight on.
She's filming you. She's getting ready to film you twerk.
Yeah, twerks
No,
on the
but-
feed.
I always wish that I had an assistant. It would have been such a waste of my money, but I've always fantasized, dreamed about having an assistant that would just find samples and then present them to me. But they have to have good taste. They have to have the same taste that I have. And if I want them, chopped up a certain way, just have somebody in the corner of a room. Cole, how helpful would that be if somebody was chopping, like every, kick and snare of a sample, like an 8-bar loop, and they make like 100 of them for you each day, and then they send them to you, and you have them ready to go when you sit down and make music.
Yeah, I've thought about that a lot too. I always wanted, I still do. Hopefully, I could, end up getting back to it. Not necessarily an assistant, but like my own engineer that would just sit at the computer and do all the things like that I tell them to do, or like direct them to do. I'm the director. Say, they'd be like the director of photography, and I'm the director. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'm the producer in the room, and they're the engineer. Where they're chopping samples up, and they're doing all the little things in Pro Tools that I don't want to do, but I can just stand there and direct them and say, "Hey, do this," just to save so much time as opposed to me having to do everything from scratch.
Yeah, because it takes a lot out of you, especially for me when you like sit down and now you have to listen to samples, which is fun, but it also can be a huge waste of time because you'll listen to this like obscure album and you can't miss it. You don't want to miss a second.
Yeah, I've made the mistake where
And I don't want to miss a thing.
you can't.
Yeah, I mean, you'll catch that.
Where I get so bored from, it's like, okay, why did I download this, or why did I, sample this record? Like there was something about it that, got me to listen to it. So I got to like at least do my due diligence and listen to the whole fucking thing. So instead of just listening to it, I'll throw it into what's Audacity, right? I'll throw it into Audacity so I can see the waveforms.
Yeah, you see it stop. You see it change, and you go straight to the tunes.
Yeah, I can at least like instead of just skipping ahead blindly, I can skip ahead and see like, oh, what's this part? This looks like something's happening here.
There's got to be an AI tool or something that can help with that.
Oh God, these days, yeah. There's got to be.
Well, for us, it's funny. We literally have in a program that we run. It's called like boring detector, and all it does is it looks for areas where like what you're talking about, where the wave file's not doing anything or no one's talking, and it just automatically pulls it out. So that automatically cuts out dead space. So on a keyboard, all you got to do is hit the down button, and you can listen to each thing. You don't have to sort at all. And then we have really cool stuff in our world now, like the audio transcription is insane now. Like, it's crazy. I can edit based on text. So I can do a roll recording, hit this button in a minute and a half. I might have like a 20-minute interview, and it's all written out for me. And then I can just read it. And when I see a part I like, highlight the text, hit go, and it goes into my timeline for editing. And I'm just reading, so you can go so fast. What you can't get is like if their pronunciation or enunciation is off, you're not gonna be able to detect that. But it's so much faster. If I'm looking for I just need them to talk about this thing, I can like search for this thing, and it'll bring me in the transcription where it is. It's crazy how fast you could go if you were to use these tools. You ask
for it to transcribe all of it first, and then you can be like, okay, I just want this part, and you copy and paste that specific. That's crazy.
Where it's like, okay, the point of this was that we were talking about, it was a firefighter or whatever. And I'm like, all right, I remember when I did the interview, he's really into his truck. So I'm just going to search fire truck. Boom, there's the paragraph where he was talking about that. Oh, there's the line.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. Everything's just getting faster and better.
Speaking of editing, I've gone back and watched. I watch all of our things,
Really?
and the editing's awesome.
Oh, thanks,
especially like the episode where we wanted to take out all those, the things that we didn't want. I think the last episode was it?
When I had my meltdown.
Is it Dylan?
Yeah.
Is Dylan doing it? He's doing a great job. Dylan, if you can hear me, if he's there, he's doing awesome. It's very to the point where I forgot that we wanted to edit, and I'm like, oh shit! Like it's just so seamless.
Yeah, it's funny. We just heard that from another client, and I was just thrilled. And it was one of those where I was able to say, Dylan, being who he is, was just kind of like, hey, we got great feedback, so way to go us. And I was like, well, buddy, you did pretty much 95% of it. I think I just sold it. So you did a really, really good job yourself. Like, it's like you guys were just saying, though. Dylan's not an assistant. He's a producer. But the fact that we just come in and record it, and then he just goes with it based on, like, we went over, like, how to do graphics and how to do subtitles and how to do verticals. And that's it. We've never talked about content or anything. So this would take, I would not be able to sustain this without, him here doing that stuff. So it is, like you said, it's just, it's a matter of time. The tricky part with when people are doing things for you, I've found, is it's really easy to overwhelm someone because they don't live in your head. I remember reading in a book the idea, like, hey, if you are running around like a chicken with your head cut off, and then you delegate to someone to run around like a chicken with your head cut off, nothing's going to happen. But if you delegate specific tasks, then you can do it. So it's like, it's really, that's definitely a challenge that I have of, like, I've overwhelmed people in the past for sure, and they've left, so it's like there's like a learning curve. So you got to be very specific with the information you give, and then you just get amazing things if you don't expect someone to do what you're doing. You just put them in a position where they can succeed for themselves, right? Like, that's like, we have a couple of camera guys, and one guy's like, I'm really a handheld shooter, and then I try and have him do something else. And now I'm like, why? Just let him do the thing that he's really good at and position him for success, instead of trying to say, do this other thing you're not familiar with.
You're
just
making
let people
them what
be who
they're
they
not.
are, But
I agree with
it's
that.
hard. It's hard when you're just getting started, because you're like, all right, I was doing everything, but I was also completely burned out. So I can't just pass all of it to someone, or the same thing will happen. They'll burn out. But if I, like, say, okay, you take a quarter and I'll take 3/4, and then, okay, you and this other person take a quarter and a quarter, and I'll take 50%. I think it's just a better way to do it. But, I'm not an expert. I just know that I've definitely driven people away with the amount I expect. But once I tailored my expectations, I've found things
you're learning
go much
as you
successfully.
Go. You're becoming a professional. You're learning as you go. A professional boss.
Mm-hmm.
You
Management
probably
is
had no
hard.
experience. Yeah, I'm sure.
Hey, you guys would be good at it, because I'm good technically, and I'm good at pushing myself, and I always show up with the right attitude. But, like, those people who are just emotionally geared in and know how to keep people excited and happy the whole time, it's an amazing skill set.
It really is. It's tough.
Yeah, I remember there have been so many, especially on the last album that I worked on, we finally had, like, money thrown at the album. And there were multiple times when we went to the studio, and, I would actually leave work and then, like, show up to the studio, Red Bull Studios, at multiple occasions. And it was awesome. It was so fucking cool. It was, like, I'll never forget it. and they'd be working on one of my songs. And of course, I have and I remember the first time I have my vision and I want it done my creative way. And I remember walking in and they were working on it, and there was this guy playing the strings on it. And they were, giving him direction of what to do of something that I've already played. So, but, I played on the keyboard. It was MIDI. It was like, fake strings. So now we're putting real strings onto it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like trying to direct him, and he was doing it so well to the point where I was like, holy shit, like I don't need to tell this guy what to do. He was so trained. That was the first time that
Isn't
I
that
realized,
weird?
like, oh my God, like let me just take a step back and just trust what these people are doing. And once I learned to do that, then like, some people are very difficult in the studio and they just they don't. But for me, I learned to just, whenever we hit kind of a dead end, then I come in with an idea, but I try not to make it, too many, cooks in the kitchen or chefs in the kitchen.
Yeah, I think
but
just putting people in the right place too. It's a shame that Zach's off, because what I keep hearing and what I keep thinking more and more is, that's why casting is important. Of like, just get the guy who does the thing. Don't get somebody who doesn't normally do the thing and then get frustrated that they're not doing the thing.
Yeah, I mean, you
Yes, I
also,
think part of being a good leader, I'm talking about a producer. Luke, you're talking about a producer in music, and then Terry, you're running a business, but you have so Dylan's a producer for you, but I would assume you have maybe at least one more.
Oh yeah, we have 4.
Yeah, multiple producers. But then even like I work in the restaurant industry, I manage a restaurant. I have to delegate a lot of roles. I have shift leaders. You have a kitchen leader, you have a kitchen, head of the kitchen. It's the hardest thing sometimes is, when you're learning to take on that leadership role, when you come from, the cut of cloth where I know I could do everything on my own. I could do it all.
Yep.
And sometimes you want to do it all. You have to be able to be comfortable with just, letting it go a little bit and having faith in these other people. But you got to point out those people that have those particular skill sets, and you got to put them in the right place. And sometimes
you
that's the
also,
hardest part.
you have to be surrounded by the right people, though. You have to choose the right people that you trust, because there are times when it's like, what the fuck is this person doing? Like, this is not working for me. Yeah, there were points in the beginning of, me actually working professionally on my own albums where I people would work on one of my songs and it would be sent back to me and I fucking hated it. And that was when I realized, like, I'm never not going to be there when someone's working on my music, especially in the beginning when it was like a bunch of, amateurs. And I put that in quotations, like, we're all just a bunch of, kids trying to, put together things. And some of us have had a lot of experience and some of us clearly have not.
Mm-hmm.
But, we all have talent. So yeah, in the beginning for me, there were moments where I had to pick and choose, and I had to be careful because if you don't say anything, then it doesn't turn out well, and then you fucking hate it for the rest of existence.
Yep.
And so like you have to speak up every now and then. But yeah, then you get to a point where you start to trust. Once you trust yourself, you trust other people, and you create your crew. You get older, everyone gets experience, everyone becomes professionals, veterans. Yeah, and then then you probably from your experience, you probably get to a point where you have like interns or whatever, and they just do things that you're not worried if it's wrong or right. It's just the job has to be done. I've never gotten to that point, but
yeah, I mean, there's it's kind of like it's hard. You go from saying this sucks because of you to, hey, this isn't working. I think we need to figure this out. And I think, and obviously some people just got to go. That you always, it's funny, like growing up, you always hear all like the culture stuff and how important culture is. But once you see a culture go bad, like then you see like how important it is of like, no, actually, yeah, everyone does have to have a good attitude. Like, no, you can't show up and not have a good attitude. It doesn't work. It throws things off. That doesn't mean you're a bad person or anything like that, but it means like I can't make it flow creatively if there's negativity, of any kind. Like you got to be on the mission and you got to be willing to say, I'm being paid to do this right now. Mm-hmm. It might not be what I would do, but it is what the client is asking for. And I'm going to have a good attitude about it and do it. Which is, in art, that's trickier,
Yeah.
For Zach and I know we've had short films go awry. And for you guys, I'm sure there's been music things that have gone awry. And when you're so close to it, to be frank, it's hard to... I don't think you can really be an artist and a business person at the same time. I think it's two different worlds because you could say there is an art to getting something through a studio system and that being difficult. But I also don't feel like that I was in pain or that it came from it doesn't have to be from pain, but that it came from my soul and that it was really my creative force that went through. It's like, they say directing is compromising. I'm sure it's something similar in your guys' world of like getting an album out as compromise.
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes, yeah. I had some experiences again when, Cole, who I'm talking about. There were some, most of the time, 95% of the time, there was this, a guy that we ended up working with who was way bigger than me, and he executive produced our album, and it was awesome. Like we really got along. But then there were times where he would just take over one of my songs, and he would take an old song and kind of like accelerate it into something way bigger.
Yeah.
And to the point where it was like way out of my hands, and it just, if it didn't work, it didn't work. And I don't want to talk too much about like specifics, but and then there were times where I was not as big. So like when we were talking about numbers, this is like the business side that you're talking about. I can't be an artist and a business person at the same time, where, if I didn't agree with a number, that means it probably wasn't going to happen. So I would have to just like agree to certain numbers, to the point where I had a reputation where I could just say whatever the hell I wanted. I have that now. Mm-hmm. But yeah, which is actually reminds me, we just got, I don't know, Cole, if you know what Kemba's up to these days. He's fucking making a movie with, one sec. He's making a movie with Paramount and MTV, and it's like a documentary. And one of, a lot of my songs are in it. So now I have to like sign contracts and stuff. But I just learned, I asked questions. Like they sent a contract and I haven't signed it yet, and there were no figures, there's no budget. And I go, okay, well, what am I agreeing to here? And they were like, oh, we kind of ran out of a budget. So I'm like, why am I signing this?
Yeah.
Like why are? Well, that's a whole other thing, but that's going on right now. And that's the thing. Also, it's not a fun part, and
no, that's why a lot of people like to just have their managers.
Yeah.
Like, okay, hey, you want to talk to me about business? Go talk to him over there. I don't want to mess this up. I don't want to mess up the artistic relationship.
Well, also
Yes.
now you got another piece, which is there are times where I do want the exposure, and the exposure
Yes.
has value. You know.
Yes. That's lingering in my mind where, I mean, I could sign up for some royalties and stuff like that, but um, I don't like, I do want the exposure because it is going to be on Paramount Plus. It is a very cool idea. I can't tell you guys what it's about,
That's
but
fun.
it's a cool idea. Uh, it's just, and then the at the same time, I've seen so many, and it's kind of happened to me a bunch of times where it takes so long for you to get your money in music, and
Yeah.
people can just, it's just, and it's so annoying. It's so annoying to keep following up. You feel, and people
Yeah.
take time off. It's like it's so hard to get a hold of the right person, and like someone says, "Oh, you have to talk to this guy." Okay, I talk to her, talk to this person. It's one person after the other, and you're just, I don't know. It's very stressful to the point where you're like, I finally am getting paid so later on. I mean, but when you finally do, it's the check is nice, but it's, I can't imagine if you did that full time, how stressful that is. And I've seen a lot of like horror stories for artists like me who do it full time. That's just why I don't do it for many reasons.
Well, I mean, it's insanely stressful. It's insanely stressful to try and do it creatively, and I've been on both sides of that, for sure. Because sometimes it is like, what are you talking about? This is like the chance to do X, Y, and Z. This is why we do this, And then on the other side, I'm kind of like, shit, I'm not going to be able to pay I distinctly remember I had to make a choice between like rent or replacing a camera lens for a shoot that I had to go to. And I replaced the lens, and I was terrified. And just somehow, for some reason, another check arrived right in time for me to make rent, when I was just getting started. But that's constant if you're doing the artistic route. My attitude, the whole reason I do what I do is like, I was like, there's no way I'm going to be just picked up and get an agent or something like that and be able to do creative stuff. So I'm like, let me learn everything there is to know about it and start my own thing so I can finance my own way of doing creative stuff. And then, inevitably it ends up taking over your whole soul. But the whole reason I did this was like, I'm like, no one's going to put me on camera. Let me learn everything there is to know about camera so that I can be like, hey, who'd be great for this? Me.
Nice. Yeah, no, it seems like it's really working. I love what you're doing. I really do. You put in the work, and it seems like you've set up your lane where it seems pretty set. I mean, it seems good.
It's not, there's challenge. I genuinely appreciate you saying that. But one thing I always say is there's a grass is always the greener thing, because I remember when I was in school and school came up and there was a December break and I was off. I was not working. I did not have to worry about things for like 7 days. I haven't had that in 12 years, So there is that other side of me that's kind of like, I get why people would want jobs and things like that. It is, you can have a family, you can have personal time, you can go on vacation, you can not have constant dread and worry that something goes wrong. And what that comes from is, if we're late on something, we're dead, and if somebody just says, I don't feel like doing it, that falls on me. So there's a constant worry about that. So I also think like, boy, what it must be like to, I think of this more like nurses. Nurses have a really sweet gig of like, once they leave, someone else takes over. They don't have to bring anything home. And I wonder what that's like, not to bring anything home, because I never had it,
The homework.
But exactly.
Yeah, I mean, there are jobs where there's homework, and I'm actually very appreciative that my job is not that way. But that's kind of why I was so, I was so terrified to lose that, constant check. So I never committed full time, and it worked. It was fine. It worked for me.
Yeah.
Because my mind can't do that. My mind can't, especially because I was living with my wife for so long, and I don't want to put her through that. So, I don't want to not know where my money's coming from. I want to constantly get money, but also, save some time to make some music, which I was able to do. I was able to do that.
It's funny. That's not the first time I've heard that. I've heard a lot of people. I knew these two guys. I shot a commercial for this like rock school, which is like such a cool concept that where kids just go to learn. And their whole thing was, we have both been in the music industry. You don't want no part of this, but you do want music in your life, and you want to be able to create music in your life and enjoy it, because it's a different story when your life depends on it, because it can get in the way of your art, right?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I imagine. And it's, like for me, we had our studio in Mechanicville, and I was living in the city, and, Kemba wasn't working, and he lived with his mom. And so he wasn't really paying rent. And for me, I was paying rent just so that or working just so that I can pay a little bit of rent, and then pay all the money to go upstate New York to work on an album for a weekend. And that takes away from my time with my wife. She was my girlfriend at the time, and like that damaged our relationship, sometimes. And also, I was broke, and it definitely drove me. Like sometimes I wonder how I was so driven, and that was because I had nothing. And now I have money, and now I have things to live for. So like that drive isn't there anymore. But I remember that, it was one particular album, my second album, man, it drove me to a dark place, because I had no sleep, because of the amount of work that I put in, no time off, but it brought some good music. It did, but it also made me resent it so much. It, like, to the point where if I wasn't making music, it was like time off. I could relax, and I'd rather have that time off. It just, yeah, I remember, that was the second album, and I had to put 100% of my effort into it. And then my third album, I didn't have to do the whole thing, and I loved it. And I think that's the point where I started to be like, oh, okay, I can like kind of sit back and relax. I don't have to worry about this anymore. And then it kind of grew into, I don't ever want to do this again. But I still, like you said, I still want it in my life. And you can, like, you can still be happy and creative. Like, if you're a creative person, it's always going to be in you. So just, you can keep it in your life and be happy, but it doesn't mean you're going to get that same amount of success that you used to, and that same amount of respect from other artists that you used to, which is a good thing, which is also something that I always wanted, respect from other artists. But, I think I've gotten enough where I can be happy. I can look back and be proud of it and everything. I've said that a bunch of times. Like, I'm happy that I did it. I'm happy I put in that time.
There's a freedom in being poor and having nothing,
Yes.
because you can risk. What are you risking? Not much.
What are you losing?
I mean, that's so much of it. Of, if you can be happy with nothing, you have won at life, right? Because if you're happy at the bottom, you'll be happy at the top, And when you get put back to the bottom, which all of us has been through the ringer a couple times, if you can maintain your happiness because you're like, I've done this, I know how this works, I can handle this, then you're bulletproof. I just think that's a good way to live.
I look back
Yeah,
very fondly. I look back very fondly on my really early 20s. Speaking of being broke and having nothing,
Yeah.
and being driven, blindly driven, to the point where I don't even understand what gave me the drive that I had, to do all the music stuff that I did, to teach myself how to do everything, even beyond just the music stuff, teaching myself, Photoshop, Illustrator, HTML, CSS, uh, marketing, I just spent all of my time working on that shit.
it's
And
all you had.
yeah, I was put in my 10,000 hours which is so played out to talk about, but
Because you wanted to. That's all you wanted that. You wanted
Yep.
it so bad.
And the truth is
Yeah.
played out. It's played out because it's true.
yeah.
It
But,
is.
yeah,
It definitely is.
You had that dog in you.
Yeah. When you get to the point where I say that a lot, I got to the point, I say that a lot to the point. But when you like trust, you have to work so hard where you can trust everything that you do, whatever you do. Because in the beginning, you're just playing around, and there are things that aren't good and things that are. But I got to a point where whatever I did, I knew that it was going to be good. If I was putting my time into it, it was going to be good. And that kind of goes back to, putting in your time. And like I was saying, with the people, you turn into a professional, you turn into a veteran. You're not an amateur anymore. And you're around people who, went through it with you, especially Kemba and me, him and I. And I think one big thing too, and we never brought this up, is like fucking no. For me, I didn't believe in partying while working at all. It was so professional. I had rules. Nobody in the studio, and if there was, I wouldn't work. If there were people that were just like, if somebody broke a rule and there were people like hanging out in the studio and having a good time while I'm working in front of them, I'll shut down and be like, just like put everything down and just to like prove a point. Like, I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
Some people are different, but for me, it's like if we're here for a reason.
No,
Kemba and
I'm the same way, man. I'm the same way of every time there's been, some booze or something, like even the day before or something, it's like I'm not executing 100%. I'm not. So it's just, it sucks because I know there are people who can do it. I'm not one of those people. I maybe it's, yes, I take my work and everything seriously, but also it's just, I can't do it. I can't be that person because, the second I have a couple pops or something, I just want to talk shit. I just want to like bullshit and hang out and be silly and goofy, and my drive gets turned off. I mean, that's why I like a drink, is because that's when it's like, okay, I'm turning it off for a couple hours now.
Yeah, I love getting it done, getting your work done, and then doing that. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
I'm trying to be a wine guy.
Wine, yeah. I've actually been taking days off from drinking, and then finally when I do drink, I feel so silly, and I love it. I love it. Like last night, I had one drink, but it was after like 5 days of not drinking, and I was like, "Ooh, this is nice, little vodka drink." And then I went to sleep immediately.
Yeah, it was nice. I was in Florida for work, and I couldn't. The days were too packed, so I couldn't exercise or anything. So I was just off. And when I'm off, it's kind of like, okay, I'm gonna be off. And every day we had a nice dinner break with the crew, and we'd have a cocktail dinner, and it was nice, and it wasn't too much, because you're with work people, but it was like 2 cocktails and then back to the hotel room. Like there's something nice about that. There's something really, really nice about that. I try not to do it too much, but that was cool that I was able to pull that off. But like you said, Luke, it was after. It's done. Check. All right, I have some free time.
Yeah, there are a few songs that have become successful while I was drinking, but most of the time, not really the case. Adderall, man, Adderall is the way to go. That drove a lot of my music. Just to take a little bit, and then because I'm prescribed it, so I needed it, and I would go straight to the studio and just like go straight to work, and we'd get as much done as possible. But there was one night where Cole and I got so drunk, and and it's funny because that's the song that's in the movie. It's called Heartbeat, and Cole and I were wasted, like blackout drunk. Cole, I don't know if you remember that night. And to this day, when I listen back on it, I'm like, oh God, I was drunk. Like nobody knows it, but I'm the only one who knows. And Kemba knows. But yeah, that night, that was an interesting night. That was in the upstairs studio, Cole. And Kemba actually rapped. It was a pretty eventful night. I'm trying. I don't know if you don't remember it. I'm not going to try to explain it to you. But.
Yeah, I'd have to hear the song to remember. I can always remember every session when I hear the beat or the song. I remember exactly where I was.
Wow.
What I was doing. Yeah. No, but I definitely I've got a handful of songs where I got after it, partied as I was making it, and it works for me.
It works for you.
Yeah. Because I'm able to loosen up because I'm pretty
soulful. You get all soulful.
Yeah. And I go into the studio a little stressed out and with anxiety, and I put a lot of pressure on myself. So once I'm able to loosen up a little bit, and also I'm in the studio with people expecting stuff out of me too. And I have to run the session as well on top of, producing it and on top of writing and doing, and then performing, So I like to be able to let loose for a little bit and not feel the pressure, not feel the eyes on me so intensely, And then once I get in that sweet spot, then I just fucking lock in and I just zero in and just get it done. And I can work very fast. Once I find that zone, I can just get right after it and not overthink anything. Also, because I know when I have access to the session all the time, I don't have to overthink my stuff so much because I can go back and change whatever I need to change. But I just need to let that anxiety go first. That's kind of my first step sometimes.
Terry, when you go to record a commercial or something like that, are there a lot of people there that you are not familiar with often? And does that give you any sort of not stress, but maybe stress or maybe nervousness?
Yeah, I think it depends. There's a couple of people that I really respect, like CEO types, and when they're around and we're filming with them, I can get a little anxious. I definitely believe in doing your homework and doing your preparation when you go into any of those. But yeah, there's certain people, yes, and then there's other folks. If I don't know you, I mean, I don't care. I'll walk in, kick the door open, and just be like, hey, here's what we're doing. I try and run my sets kind of like a military operation or something like that, of like, if you're here, You know what you're supposed to do. Here's your marching orders. Get it done. If something goes wrong, let me know and I'll fix it. Actors and models and stuff, I'm very much just like, you are here to hit your marks. And if you don't, like, I need you to go right away. You know, because like I don't have time. The day is scheduled pretty tight on a lot of my shoots, so it's not like we're gonna sit and like have like a creative 30 minutes and try and find it. It's like, hey, you're here to walk forward, spin around, walk back, hit your mark. You got 3 minutes to do it. Ready, go. So, and then that's what most people are expecting on a set, though, which is that, you know, the pro ones are easier. When there's more people around, it's actually easier for me than when it's very, very intimate, because I can kind of command a room effectively, not by presence, but by like I have thought out what I need everyone to be doing, and I can give them a very clear, very simple instruction of what to do. But I can do intimate.
You've done it before.
Yeah, and I can do intimate as well. There's nothing I'm doing now that I haven't done before. But even still, like, you know, just the other day I walked out of something and I thought, you know what, I could have done that better. And I should have prepared a little bit more. And, you know, I'll have like a guilt or something. But I don't have I used to have shoot anxiety where I knew I wasn't sleeping the night before. It wasn't going to happen because I knew I would like sleep in too late, miss a shoot, or I would doubt myself.
Overthinking it?
Yeah. And sometimes the shoot is so technical that there really isn't time for laid back. And some people like that because they just want to go home, you know, want to come in, do their 4 hours and then head out. And then sometimes it's a little longer where we can kind of play and experiment. Yeah. But yeah, either way, I'm good. I'm definitely one of those people who has an easier time connecting to a large audience than doing one-on-one, or like a small group, you know, like I it's funny. I can even think of like going to parties at Winks and stuff and feeling a little awkward until I found like my group. So like, you know, 1 to 3, I'm good. 50 plus, I'm good. In the middle there, it can get a little bit difficult for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, no, I with music again, I like if there were, like Cole said, eyes. I don't like the eyes. I need to limit the eyes that are on me. And because that's all I'm thinking about until I do hit a groove. If I'm making something good, then I'm good. But it's that beginning phase. Like if it's, especially because with music, it's like you never know what's going to happen until you make something good, that is especially with someone like Cole and me. I'm not musically trained. I just have a good ear. So it's like I'm kind of just searching for something. I don't just go right in and be like, oh, I know exactly what to do. I know what I'm doing. You're searching, and sometimes you don't find it. So that feeling of not finding it while you have a bunch of eyes on you is so embarrassing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yes.
And sometimes when you're trying to find it and you're like you yourself, you're like, I'm not really feeling this, but you're trying to like read the room as well. And you're like, but does everyone else like really like this too? Or like, is everyone being honest with me? Like, you know, should I keep working on this? Should I start something else? You know, like that. But then that feeling that you have when you break through during a session and you're like, and the whole room is like, oh yeah.
Yeah. That sound you hear like, woo, when someone is really feeling it, then you're like, oh, that, okay, like stick with that. All right.
And you're like, okay, now it's all downhill from here.
So that's so funny.
It's all downhill.
That's so funny because that made me think, because you just justified a scene in the movie Hustle and Flow for me, where you know they're working on Whoop That Trick, right? And DJ Squalls is playing like the homie from church who brings his keyboard over, and there's a part where like Anthony Anderson and Terrence Howard are looking at him and going, "Come on, find it, kid, find it." And he's like on the keyboard, like doing different things, and then he finds it. and it's like, and he gets into it, and then it turns into that, whoop that trick, whoop that trick, and it turns into that. And I always was like, that's not real. No one's the artist isn't sitting there looking at the keyboard player saying, come on, find it. It's like, what do you mean find it?
It's real.
That's how it
Find
goes.
the chord progression? Like, I'm so technical and mathematical that I'm like, well, it's GCD. What tempo are we playing GCD at? Oh, it's not? Is it A minor, D, E minor? Okay, cool. We'll do that. Oh, it's not that? Okay. And then, so, like, that is so impressive to me musically, people who can find it. I never knew that was real, finding it. And now you're justified Hustle and Flow, an American classic, which we'll go over next time on this podcast. Can we call Pete? Because I got a dinner to go to.
Yeah, I'm ready to call it. I'm still feeling under the weather. I'm fucking exhausted today.
And Pete is not. He's not even responding to my text right now. I don't know what's up with Pete.
What up with Pete? What up with Pete?
Know.
What up with Pete?
Hoo-wee. What up with Pete? What up with Pete? Hoo-wee. That is one of the best Saturday Night Live sketches ever.
Oh yeah, Jason Sudeikis.
I just there's dances.
Doing the Roger Rabbit, I think it's called.
Yeah,
I would kill to be able to move my legs like that. Team. You know what? I'm going to hire a dancer to teach me just how to do that.
Okay.
All right, guys, I got to get out of here. I love you both.
All right, love you guys.
All right, love you.
That has been What Is This Podcast? See you next time.
YUNKJunk!